Hi, my name is Catherine Litvinchova, and you are listening to UA, The Day That We Survived podcast, which we have been creating with Urban Space Radio team for the last 7 months, since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine has started. Usually, in our podcast, we share the stories of real Ukrainians who managed to survive under the ongoing war and who now are doing their best, supporting each other, volunteering and donating money to the army. However, this war that Russia has started is not only about Ukraine and Ukrainians. We were curious how the lives of people from abroad have changed under this war. How do they feel and what do they think about the situation? That's why we decided to go a little bit experimental with our format and record some live talks with foreigners who currently happened to be in Ukraine. So the very first guest is Petko from Bulgaria, who together with his friends has helped thousands of Ukrainian refugees in Bulgaria who came there during the first months of war. Petko is now continuing his volunteering activities here in Ukraine. He has seen with his own eyes what happened to Bucha, Irpin and other small towns in Kyiv oblast under Russian occupation. So now you're about to hear his story.
So my story is really long, but in short, I'm from Bulgaria and obviously I'm just an English-speaking guy. And professionally I work as a software developer, I'm a system architect. I work remotely, and it happened so that right now I live in Kyiv, like permanently. I've been co-located for 2 months already, so here I am.
Yeah, nice to have you here. Can we go back in time to the 24th of February? How did you find out about this news about Russia's full-scale invasion?
So for me it started a bit earlier, I was in Belgium on 20th of February. And I just happened to be on dinner with a friend, and on the next table there was a woman. We had a little talk, and at the end of the talk she was insisting to get to the point where we talked about the Russian possible invasion. And she was pretty sure that there will be a full-scale war. At that point I didn't really know about it, but it took my attention. And because of that, 2 days after that, we were planning to be in Amsterdam, but we decided to go to Bulgaria at night. On the 22nd, there were already news that Russian army forces are entering Ukraine. So at that moment, I really knew that a war is starting. And I needed a little time to figure out what's going on, to collect some information. It became a chaos at that time. Maybe it was the same here, but outside it was very hard to understand what's going on here. So on 24th, I took my vehicle and I came to the Romanian-Ukrainian border as a volunteer. I was one of the first responders in a way that there were not many people on that place that I came. So in the beginning, there were a lot of people with a lot of different problems, most of which were trying to escape what's going on in Ukraine. So it was very hard to organize stuff, and very quickly there were quite a lot of people on all borders. So we had to deal with this enormous amount of people. It was very cold as well, so we couldn't really leave them outside. I booked a few hotel rooms. Some people were standing there while we tried to find some buses or other type of vehicles that can transport them. I was also driving a lot, and some people were going towards Bulgaria, and from Ukraine to Bulgaria is 18 hours in one direction. So a few times I had to go from the border with my vehicle, driving 18 hours, then go back. And I was also having to work in between. So it was quite hard, and I was doing this for the first 20 days. Meanwhile, I was having talks with my government. They were helping me with the organization of buses. After 20 days, we organized the hub in Bucharest, because there were not only people from the border I was at, there were others on the other borders. So we created a hub where we get all the people together at Bucharest, and we at some point we got them on trains towards Bulgaria. So this is how it happened in the beginning. It was crazy.
Very exhausted, but at the same time, we appreciate that you actually managed to do this. Maybe you can tell how does it even appeal to you to volunteer to help Ukrainian people? Did you know some of them before, or do you have some friends? Or
I didn't really have this type of. I didn't came because I knew someone or I had some relative or something. I was aware that it's a big problem. I didn't want to stay home and just watch the news and see what's going to happen. Because of this propaganda thing, you can't really take normal information or real information of the situation. I just wanted to go there and see for myself what it is and see if I can be of help to someone. So for me, it wasn't a problem to just go there. As I said, I work remotely, so I knew that I don't have any problems. It was just that. I just wanted to be of help to people. So when I was already, because at first I didn't really I didn't really have a plan. At first, I understood that the war is happening. So I was thinking that there are already people on our border near Romania to Bulgaria. And when I get there after 5 or 6 hours with my vehicle, I understood that my information is wrong and actually people are still in Ukraine. So I decided to go to Bucharest. And while I was driving, I was almost at Bucharest when one of my colleagues, Yulia, she's from Ukraine, she called me. And she said that she's trying to escape from near Uzhgorod, which is near the border with Slovak. So that is when I decided to move to that direction. But before I entered Hungary, she said that she decided to stay with her husband and they went back to Ivano-Frankivsk. But I was already on the border, and it was very late, so I decided to stay. I had a big vehicle, so with my friends from Bulgaria, we made groups in social, like Facebook. And we announced that me and some other people are coming on the border, so if anyone needs help, they can contact me. And it was in 20 minutes that people found me and started calling that they need transport, some place to stay and everything. And it was that moment when we actually created the biggest volunteering network in Bulgaria. In our groups, there are more than 100,000 people, Ukrainians and my friends, that we're actually helping them with multiple problems, every problem they have.
And can you tell us a little bit more of how Bulgarian people experience the news? You've mentioned propaganda thing. I know it's a little bit subjective opinion, but
Well, for me that one is really quite tough topic because historically, we are Bulgaria, and me as Bulgarian, we are like the fifth colony of the Soviet Russian, and that's very important because historically we have tight connections with the Russians, and not that I or most of the Bulgarians feel close to the Russians, but we've been taught so. We've been taught this in school. Also, there are a lot of Russians in Bulgaria during the summer, for example. A lot of Russians own properties in Bulgaria. Also, they have agents on each and every level in my government and all other institutions. So you have to put this into your mind before I continue, because that's quite important. Propaganda is a real problem in Bulgaria. I don't know how it was here, maybe before the war or maybe before the Maidan. But in Bulgaria, that's a very big problem. Especially after 24th, it increased 10, 20 times, I don't know. So information was really, fake information was flooding the network, and a lot of Bulgarians really, really, really believe this. So it's something that I'm quite ashamed of, because in total I'm Bulgarian like they are. But there are still even people that don't believe that these things were happening here. I don't know how to say it, but there were these movies coming from Bucha and Irpin and Gostomel, and we had politicians, famous people going out in public and saying that these are some Hollywood actors. And for me, that's really disgusting and insane, but that's the reality. Yeah. So on the other side, we have like the normal Bulgarians that they all understand what's going on, but they don't really want to get into this public fights where we just throw garbage at ourselves. They just stay on the side, and it happens so that this situation creates how would I call it? Not like imagination, but you get this image where most of Bulgarian people are actually on the side of Russia and their propaganda, where it is not. But it's the educated people are just not so active on social media, so you don't really have this expression of. If you have to count them, you have to really go into Bulgaria and meet the people in person. If you have to follow the media and social media, you will get the impression that most of Bulgarians actually on the Russian side, but it's not like that. I hope that it clears the image a little, but...
Yeah, we're extremely excited to hear something from real people. That's why we started our podcast, and that's why we are here talking with you, and it's nice to have this talk and to clarify a bit. Maybe you can tell us also how you came up with the idea to actually come to Ukraine.
So after my first mission, I came back to Bulgaria. It was actually on the 25th day. There was one woman with 2 children, one of which was very sick. I wasn't able to put them on the train, so I had to drive her to Bulgaria. And I stayed in Bulgaria. Therefore, we already had these problems, like formal problems with their documents and everything. I've met tens of thousands of Ukrainian, mostly women with children. So we had to somehow deal with these problems. And back home, I'm quite popular. I've been an activist a long time, so I had a lot of friends, a lot of connections. We also had our government changed a few months before the war started. So I knew a lot of people, and I was in a position where I can really, really help with everything. So for the first 2 months after I came back, I was really dealing with all this formal stuff. We had to buy these passport scanners because there were a lot of people which we needed to sign in our programs that we were still creating. I was involved in all these procedures. Of course, the creation of this network, as I said about volunteering, because we needed volunteers on different places, different cities, in different fields of expertise. So after 3 months, I already had 10 women that I'm helping to. And they were settled, they had everything. And one of them just told me that she's planning to go back. And she also has a kid. So for me at that moment was quite strange, because I knew that in Ukraine there is a war. But I also understood that something's not really quite right at the place I am. And I'm not saying that I hate my country, but it was obvious that Ukrainians are not really being able to integrate in my homeland because of this barrier we have in understanding the situation. So a lot of Ukrainians are not really feeling like home at my homeland, and there is a reason for that. So when she told me that, I was thinking about, okay, if she's trying to go home when there is a war there and she's not afraid, but prefers to go there instead of staying here, maybe it's not that dangerous anymore, or I don't know. I have to see it. I asked her, she told me that if something is going to happen from this point on, it will be like a nuclear disaster or something. But if it happens, it won't matter if you're in Ukraine or in Romania or in Bulgaria. And that was correct. I agreed with her. We booked them bus tickets, and a week after that, I got myself on a train with two other friends, and we came to Kyiv. And at that moment, there were already a few other people I met that came back. So I met all of them. I had a place to stay. They walked me around. So after 1 week, my friends went back to Bulgaria, but I decided to stay I didn't really have a plan, but I stayed for a month. And during this month, I visited a lot of places. I got really into the Kyiv environment. I even visited a few events. I really like electronic dance music, so I found a few places that I visited. I really enjoyed this moment. After a month, because I had some plans, I had to go back to Europe. I had to go back to Belgium. And I was already feeling that I don't want to leave this place. So what I did was that when I left, I went to Lviv, from there to Poland, Belgium, and I went to Bulgaria. And in Bulgaria, I just went there, I sold my apartment and a few other stuff that I had. I took everything I could and I came back. I'm never going back to Bulgaria. Yeah.
Wow.
Really
life-changing decision.
Because I'm a foreigner, it's not very easy to stay I'm a tourist in this situation. But I figure out that with my work in my field, Ukraine and Kyiv have really, really good environment for people like me, because there are a lot of young people, a lot of IT people, but also your government really treats us well in a way. So I figured this out in the first month, that I can actually move my company here and sign a new contract. Instead of having a Bulgarian contract, I can have a Ukrainian contract. For my business, it's much better. So meanwhile, all these friends I made, they were already volunteering in different places. And my friend Katya, she is volunteering in one school in Gostomel. So I went there a few times. They're trying to recover one primary school, which was completely shattered. And I figured out that I can actually connect my work with these charity organizations they have, in a way that my work as a technical guy and the tools and the solutions we provide can actually be put into the context of helping people. Maybe I can tell you with a few words what exactly I'm doing, but in general, we create digital events and video experiences. And I had this idea a long time that we can actually create a few interesting events that are happening in Ukraine and try to populate them globally, so that actually people from abroad can bring some help, like donations or something else here. And that was a very easy way for me to focus the attention of these digital events to exact places where I think that they will be most useful. So right now I'm actually in a situation where I'm trying to organize different events in these different types of places where people try to rebuild something that was broken.
Like fundraising events?
Fundraising events, yeah. But it depends on the scale. Right now, we are really organizing some small events, just as a beginning. But I'm really willing to create a complete new platform around this idea. I was doing this back home for a long time, so I know how to do it. I'm just right now dealing with some formal stuff around it, but I have already submitted all the documents, and I'm having a lot of talks each and every day. I'm meeting new people and trying to join them or partner with them in some way. So I think it's just about time to happen, to be real.
May I also ask you, how do you feel about safety? So do you feel safe here?
That's an interesting question as well. I actually feel quite safe, even more safe than I was feeling back home. Because I would put it like that. We also have a war in Bulgaria, but that war is like an invisible war. It's happening virtually, and we have all the problems you have, plus many others. It's just that we are not doing it with the weapons on the street. But here in Ukraine, you know that there is a war, and when the sirens go on, you know that there is a problem, and you need to find shelter, and you know that probably a rocket is heading towards you, and you have all these applications and tools that will help you stay safe. I would say that at my homeland, more civilians are dying each and every day, even without the physical war. So as soon as I came here, I was hearing, of course, the sirens, but you have to understand that I wasn't here during the evacuation, so I didn't really had this impression of what's going on. So right now when I hear the sirens, it's like something normal for me. I would say that I actually feel much safer than I felt before.
Some time passed and I'm feeling more safe here in Kyiv than I used to be in Ivano-Frankivsk, where I faced the first weeks, months of war. So I can appeal to this, that use some kind of getting used to it. And
it was actually the second or the third day I came to Kyiv when I saw it was probably the last time that a rocket hit Kyiv. There was one child that was hit. It was in the end of June, I think. After that, I don't really think that something happened here. And if you put it in the context that there are already so many, let's say, technologies, modern technologies being delivered in Ukraine, I would say that it is a really safe place right now with all the tools these people have here.
Just wondering, maybe you visited, except from Kyiv or Lviv, any other places? Like in Kyiv oblast?
No, it is just like that. I wanted to go to Kharkiv for some time, but I didn't really have the chance to organize my trip. There is one other Bulgarian girl, her name's Petko. She's rescuing pets. She goes there like every week, but she's more connected with the army because to get there it's quite dangerous, and until now I couldn't really get into their group, but at some point I probably go there as well. For now I was just in Kyiv and the Kyiv region. The first thing I did when I came was to visit Bucha, Irpin, Gostomel, Mushtun, and a few other small villages. I met local people. That's pretty much what I said. And I was in Chernihiv when I came because not Chernivtsi, sorry.
Chernivtsi, okay.
When I entered Ukraine because I was traveling with the train, so I stayed there one day.
So how do you feel about local Ukrainians, which you met yet?
I'm pretty amazed about these people because, and I'm telling this every time when my people ask me about Ukraine, because before I came to Ukraine, most of my friends or people I knew from Bulgaria were telling me that Ukrainians are not really that good, and when you meet them, you will see that they're not so, they're pretending most of the times, and just so that I don't get how can I say, so I don't get disappointed. When I came here, I really saw people who are motivated, but not because if they're pushing it a little bit harder, they will get the increase in their salary, they will get a good vacation or some materialistic thing, which is what usually motivates people around me in Bulgaria. I saw people that are motivated on a different level, because you guys are really fighting for your country and in a way for your life and the life of your relatives. So that really makes a big change in things. So what I saw is something that I don't really have the words to express, but I would suggest that everyone who will come here will be able to experience the same thing and will feel it. And it's actually one of the reasons I decided to come here, because I wanted to be part of this thing.
Okay, it's really flattering to hear that, but I am actually really into discovering what motivates people who are not Ukrainians actually to come to Ukraine or to help Ukraine from different places in different fields and ways.
I don't know really, because it is just really a simple decision. It is like taking a decision to go to a vacation or go to Ukraine and help people. And I know a lot of, for example, Bulgarians, of course, and I met some Ukrainians, a lot of Romanians, that were helping, but mostly Bulgarian. And there were really people like me, like normal guys and girls that had some normal job, and they feel this empathy where they just don't want to be ignorant and pretend that nothing just happened or something like that. You cannot really be ignorant in that way, or I can't. So I don't really have an explanation about it. It is just that I didn't really want to stay and consume all these propaganda things on the media and just pretend that it's not happening, or lie to myself that, okay, these things are happening, but I won't do anything, or just pretend it's not happening. So
I think it might be like a casual thing for someone, like to be empathetic, to help, but for me still I admire people who care, and actually while I'm telling this, I'm thinking of a lot of people, Ukrainians, who actually admire those people as well. So thank you for what you're doing, for actually caring. I think we'll good now. We'll be like finishing the first recording in this kind of format, and I invite our listeners to maybe type some comments and share with us how this experience was for you guys. How do you like this format? Should we continue? What experiences do you interested in hearing maybe in the next episodes? So thank you for listening, and we'll catch up soon.
You were listening to UA, The Day That We Survived podcast. That was me, Catherine Litvinchova. We're excited to get some feedback from you guys. I invite you to share some comments with us how this format was for you. Should we do more of such interviews? What stories or experiences are you interested to hear? And also, if you like what we are doing, please share our podcast with your friends in social media, and you also can donate to our Patreon page. So stay safe, and we'll catch up soon. This podcast was created with the support of the Embassy of the Czech Republic in Ukraine.